Have you ever been so close to success and yet felt so far away? Let's talk about a man named R.U. Darby and his uncle who, in the gold rush days, were tantalizingly close to striking it rich. They labored and toiled, digging deep into the earth, their dreams of wealth fueling their determination. But when they hit a snag, they called it quits. What if I told you they were just 3 feet away from striking gold? In the gold rush days, Darby's uncle caught the gold fever and headed west to strike it rich. His dreams were as vast as the open frontier, filled with the glint of gold and the promise of prosperity. Armed with nothing but a pick and shovel, he staked his claim and embarked on a laborious journey. The work was grueling, the ground unyielding, but his determination was steadfast, his eyes set on the golden prize. Weeks turned into months, each day a testament to his unwavering resolve. His labor bore fruit when he finally unearthed the shining ore, the very embodiment of his dreams. But this was just the beginning. To bring the ore to the surface, he needed machinery, tools far beyond his humble pick and shovel. With the mine discreetly covered, he journeyed back to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland, sharing news of his strike with relatives and neighbors. The excitement was palpable. They pooled their resources, investing in the machinery needed to extract the gold. The machinery arrived, and with renewed vigor, Darby and his uncle returned to the mine, ready to reap the rewards of their toil. The first car of ore was mined, shipped to a smelter, and the returns, oh, they were magnificent. They had struck one of the richest mines in Colorado. Their debts would soon be cleared, and the real profits would start rolling in. The drills went down, and their hopes soared. The golden future they had dreamed of was within their grasp. But then, something happened. The vein of gold ore, their ticket to prosperity, disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, driven by desperation, trying to pick up the vein again. But all their efforts were in vain. They had one of the richest mines in Colorado. But then, something happened. Their dreams of wealth disappeared as quickly as the vein of gold ore they were mining. The once promising mine had turned into a puzzling labyrinth of failure and despair. The once glistening vein of gold, their beacon of prosperity, had vanished, leaving behind nothing but the harsh, unyielding rock. They labored on, their picks and shovels working tirelessly against the stubborn earth. Each strike of metal against stone echoed their dwindling hopes. Sweat poured down their brows, hands blistered, muscles ached, but the vein remained elusive. The once rich mine seemed to mock their efforts, its silence a harsh reminder of their fleeting success. The drilling continued, an act of sheer will and desperation. They delved deeper and deeper, their spirits sinking with every foot they descended. The mine became a symbol of their dashed dreams, a monument to their defeat. The absence of the gold vein wasn't just a physical emptiness. It gnawed at their motivation, their resolve, their very belief in the dream they had chased so far from home. The gold rush had promised wealth and prosperity, but all it had delivered was an empty mine and a crushing sense of defeat. In their hearts, they knew they had reached the end. The rainbow had faded, the pot of gold was nowhere in sight. The decision to quit wasn't an easy one. It meant abandoning their dreams, admitting defeat. But the barren mine left them with little choice. With heavy hearts, they sold the machinery, the very tools that were supposed to bring them wealth. They sold it for a few $100s to a junkman, a bitter reminder of their failed venture. And so they boarded the train back home, their dreams of wealth buried deep within the mine they had left behind. And so, feeling defeated, they headed back home. But the story doesn't end there. Enter the junkman, not as dumb as you might think. Quite the contrary, our junkman was a man of wisdom, a man who knew the value of expertise. Instead of hastily starting to dig as the Darbys had, he sought the counsel of a mining engineer, an expert who understood the labyrinthine nature of the Earth's crust in a way that the Darbys, driven by their gold fever, did not. The engineer came, inspected the mine, and made some calculations. He explained to the junkman about fault lines, invisible boundaries that could mislead miners into thinking they had exhausted a vein of gold. According to his calculations, the vein of gold that the Darbys had been so feverishly digging for lay untouched, just 3 feet from where they had stopped. 3 feet, a distance so insignificant, yet so consequential. Emboldened by the engineer's advice, the junkman resumed the drilling. And just as predicted, there it was. The vein of gold, shimmering and promising, was found exactly where the engineer said it would be, 3 feet from where the Darbys had given up. The junk man had struck gold, quite literally. What followed was nothing short of a gold rush. The mine that had been abandoned as a lost cause began to spew out gold. The junk man, once seen as a fool for buying a worthless mine, was now a millionaire. He had mined more gold from that abandoned mine than anyone could have imagined, all because he had the wisdom to seek expert advice and the patience to drill those extra 3 feet. The Darbys were home, licking their wounds, unaware that the fortune they had dreamt of was being realized by someone else, someone who understood that success often lies just beyond the point of surrender. The gold was there all along, just 3 feet away. Darby paid back every dollar he owed, but the experience was a lesson he would never forget. It was a harsh wake-up call, a bitter pill that left an indelible mark on his psyche. Yet, this setback served as a stepping stone, a catalyst propelling him into a new direction. From the ashes of failure, Darby forged a resilience that would define the rest of his life. He ventured into the business of selling life insurance, a field riddled with rejection where no was a common response. But Darby was a changed man. The memory of the gold mine echoed in his mind, a reminder of what giving up cost him. He vowed never to succumb to defeat again. Each no he received he viewed not as a rejection, but as an opportunity to refine his approach. Every door closed was a nudge towards a door waiting to be opened. Remembering the gold mine, he would tell himself, "I stopped 3 feet from gold. I will not stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance." This mantra became his driving force, his compass in the stormy seas of the insurance business. His persistence began to pay off. His tenacity, coupled with his unwavering belief in his product, began to win people over. Darby's determination catapulted him into the echelons of top life insurance sellers. He became part of an elite group of fewer than 50 men who sold more than $1 million in life insurance annually. His story was no longer one of defeat, but of triumph, a testament to the power of perseverance. The lesson Darby learned was not about gold or wealth, but about the human spirit's capacity to overcome. His story is a poignant reminder that success is often just beyond where most people decide to stop trying. Darby learned from his quitability and developed stickability. His journey teaches us that giving up is not an option, and often success is merely 3 feet from where we decide to quit. So what can we learn from Darby's story? One of the most striking takeaways is the peril of surrendering too soon. Darby and his uncle were so close to striking gold, but they allowed a momentary setback to convince them that their efforts were in vain. Had they continued just 3 feet more, their story would have been different. It's a powerful reminder that often, the difference between success and failure is simply not giving up. Secondly, the story stresses the importance of seeking expert advice. The junk man, unlike Darby, consulted a mining engineer before making a decision. His wisdom to seek counsel not only saved him from making the same mistake as Darby, but also led him to the gold mine. This underscores that no matter how much passion or determination we have, sometimes we need the expertise and perspective of others to guide us in the right direction. Lastly, Darby's story exemplifies the power of perseverance. Even after his initial failure, he didn't abandon his ambition. He took his hard-learned lesson and applied it to a new field, eventually becoming a remarkably successful life insurance salesman. It was his ability to learn from failure and persist that ultimately led to his success. Remember, your greatest success might just be one step beyond the point at which defeat overtakes you. Don't stop 3 feet from gold.